If it had to be a choice between highly processed food, some grains, some vegetables, fruits, lean meats and stuff like that, or raw bloody meat and raw fish and stuff like that, I think most people, even if they knew that was the best option, couldn't do it. I thought I'd just take a brief moment to address raw animal product consumption and just to let you guys know what I think, why I don't specifically advocate for that particular way of eating carnivore. So in my experience so far, having a YouTube channel in this space and noticing a lot of comments that I get, I have noticed quite a lot of people that do choose to eat raw products. They come along and often dig and poke and attack certain people for cooking their foods, which I find a little bit strange.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
You're doing it wrong. You know, it's far better to eat raw, and if you're not eating raw, you're not real carnivore, all this kind of stuff. The whole point of my content is to be accurate and helpful. First of all, I am actually one of those people that eat a lot of raw animal products behind the scenes. But isn't it all about trying to get people to realise the importance of animal nutrition, whether that be cooked or not? To me, it's far more helpful to get people on board than to deter people. Just say I've stumbled across a video and I've got depression or I've got IBD. That's something I've obviously experienced myself. You could have type 2 diabetes, you just want to lose weight, but you found a video and this person is talking about the carnivore diet and you think, okay, right, this is interesting. And then all of a sudden, you have to eat all of the animal products raw. I think that often that's just going to repel people that have watched the video. I don't think the odds of them even trying or attempting to adopt a carnivore or meat-centric diet is very high. I think most likely they're just going to be repulsed, slightly put off. Certainly if they haven't come from a background where they're used to eating a lot of animal products. They might not have even had a lot of red meat. They might be cooking their red meat all the way through and so they don't even like the blood. And you've got to understand in the modern world, a lot of people are withdrawn from this stuff that was very, very natural in a wild setting. Of course, we would eat animal products, we'd eat raw liver, we'd drink blood. But if you just see a guy burying his face into a carcass in the middle of the modern world, that looks very strange because it is. We're so far withdrawn from that. And now I'm not saying that we shouldn't try and get back to nature. And that's not a appeal to nature thing. I'm talking about eating what we're supposed to eat, what we're designed to eat in line with and in keeping with our genetics. That's very important.
Definitely carnivore. Good.
I really respect people that have just chosen to increase red meat consumption and eggs, say, and drop bread and seed oils. Like, to me, that's great. If yesterday you were eating all these plants and seed oils and highly processed foods, and going forward, even if it was for a few years, you decided, I'm going to eat more meat and eggs. I'm going to switch out my grains in the morning for eggs and bacon. I'm going to eat a steak for dinner and have some butter with it. Something like that. You could even have some broccoli. What? You could put some pepper on there. You could have a tea. You could have a coffee. I think that is fantastic. I'm not going to tell those people, no, coffee, you shouldn't have coffee, you shouldn't have tea. Take that pepper off the steak. You know, why is it cooked? I don't think that's very helpful. I think that most people that come across and watch that video, I think you're having almost the complete opposite effect. Now, I just want to say I'm absolutely not against anyone that has a raw meat consumption channel or raw primal channel. I don't think that they're doing any wrong because they believe in it. It's worked really well for them. I completely understand that. But what I would say is you've got to understand that for the vast majority of people, if it had to be a choice between highly processed food, some grains, some vegetables, fruits, lean meats and stuff like that, or raw bloody meat and raw fish and stuff like that, I think most people, even if they knew that was the best option, couldn't do it. Anyone that is watching that eats raw, I think it's great. If you were eating mostly animal products, I have so much respect for you. I think, yes, you're doing the right thing in terms of diet, right? There's a lot more to lifestyle than just food, but in terms of the diet, 100%, I think it's great. I certainly don't go on raw channels and start having a go at them. You won't find me on vegan channels in the comments. You won't find me. I don't act like that. I think it's just pointless and kind of lame and pathetic and again, not helpful.
Well, no fucking shit.
I advocate for what will inspire people. I found this in my 30s. I lost my colon in my 20s. I wish I could go back in many ways to tell myself that what you're doing, all this stuff you believe is totally a lie, it's totally wrong. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to reach people that are stuck in the matrix, if you like. They are inured, they're suffering, they may even really care about their health, and they still believe to wake up in the morning and pour almond milk over some grains with goji berries, and it's really like a super breakfast, when it's just sugar and anti-nutrients and indigestible fibre. I respect anyone who adopts a meat-centric diet, an animal-based diet. If you want to have some local seasonal berries and honey, I'm not going to attack you for it. I don't advocate for honey just because it's similar to pouring fruit juice down your neck. It's basically concentrated fructose. So that's not good. If you're going to consume fruits, consume them local, seasonal, and when they're ripe. And I think the fructose won't do you too much harm. First of all, there's plenty of fibre, it's a whole food, and you're having it for 3 weeks of the year. If you're now having strawberries all year round, you're an idiot. If you think that that's healthy, I've been there, I was an idiot. I was blue-pilled, had no clue. I've had to wake up, and I'm really grateful that I have, because I feel so great all the time.
He is the one.
So in terms of what I've eaten raw, I've actually eaten almost everything I can think of. I haven't really eaten any chicken, but then I don't touch chicken much at all on this diet. I've probably eaten it a few times over the whole 19, 20 months that I've been on it. The animal products that I eat raw, they're high quality. I know where the animals were farmed and what they ate, and so I know that they're not toxic or poisonous because they weren't poisoned themselves during their life. They were given what they were supposed to eat. They lived their proper lifestyle, if you like, in the modern world. I think many of us have tried raw butter. I think a lot of us have tried raw cheese. I did go through a phase of having raw milk. The dairy side of things seems to be more accepted, and I think for most people isn't really a turn-off. I don't push dairy because for a lot of people they can be sensitive. Certainly if you've got autoimmune issues, I would say dairy is probably not a good idea for many other reasons, casein proteins, etc. I've eaten raw beef, raw lamb, eggs.
Shows your face.
I've consumed raw venison liver. The deer, actually, I can see graze just a few miles down the road from here. They've got this lovely forest they can go into, and so very, very healthy animals. But I've eaten raw pork, Iberica pork. I've also eaten raw mackerel. I quite enjoy raw mackerel. It's almost less fishy when it's not cooked. Very, very delicate. Doesn't taste much of anything. And actually that's what I would say about a lot of this stuff is when you eat raw products, they don't really taste very strong. The worst thing about the raw mackerel is the skin is really tough. When you cook that, that seems to just dissolve more in your mouth when you're chewing it. I quite often consume raw lamb. I quite like the little lamb cutlets off the bone, like a little lollipop. But then I also enjoy cooking them. And so I have a pretty mixed diet. It's a little bit more chewy when it's raw, certainly the connective tissues. I will say actually a lot of these raw primal guys, they do report that when they eat mostly raw, they don't drink as much water, and I have found the same. So that's quite interesting. I mean, if you're eating enough fats anyway, you're going to be making your own low deuterium depleted water, if you like. So, I mean, the stuff that I show on my channel, most of the time is cooked. And to be fair, most of the time I am cooking my steaks, at least if I have like a nice ribeye, a sirloin, a T-bone, short ribs and oxtail. That stuff's always getting cooked. I have had a little bit of raw short rib, but it's so tough, I mean, you end up chewing on that for a long time. So, I mean, I do consume a lot of raw stuff behind the scenes. I just don't show everyone all the time. I'm not pushing it in front of people and saying like, this is the only way, this is the true way. I just think that there's a better way to go about encouraging people to include more red meat in their diet, honestly. And so if you want to eat raw, that's great. Nothing against you. I think it's a fantastic way of eating. If you want to cook your meat and you want to cook your eggs, I think that's fantastic. Great. More power to you. You're eating more actual food and not so much carbohydrates, sugar, fibre, anti-nutrients, pesticides, estrogens, all of this nonsense. I'm just genuinely all for people upping the meat, upping the red meat specifically, animal nutrition, animal fats, super important for our health, and decreasing plants, certainly carbohydrates, starches, grains, and even seed oils, of course. If you get away from that stuff, I think you're doing really well. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Anyway, I do hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Give your meat a good old rub.